Nice doggy. Cute little pooch. Maybe I got a milk bone.
Rick Moranis, Louis Tully banging on glass, terror dog behind him. There is a bear in my apartment. Party keeps going. Nobody hears. For 10 years he was everywhere. Ghostbusters, Spaceballs, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Then, 1997, gone. No goodbye, no explanation. What happened to Rick Moranis? If you grew up in that era of comedy, you probably feel like you knew him. You saw him on your TV screen every Saturday afternoon. He was the guy who looked like your neighbor. He was the guy who felt like a friend. He was funny, but he was also gentle. He was the nervous guy who always tried his best. For a man between the ages of 55 and 72, those movies were more than just entertainment. They were part of your life. They made you laugh when things were hard. They were there during the long afternoons and the quiet evenings. And when he vanished, it felt like a part of that golden age vanished too. You might have wondered if he was okay. You might have felt like the world just forgot about the people who mattered to you. But there is a real question under that. Does anyone still care the way you do? Was that era actually special? The answer is yes. You are not alone in your memory. You are part of a tribe of millions who still hold a place for him. His story is not a sad one. It is a story about a man who knew exactly what mattered most. It started back in Toronto in 1980. That was the start of the golden age. He was on a show called SCTV. He and Dave Thomas created these two brothers named Bob and Doug McKenzie. They wore big parkas and wool hats. They sat in front of a map of Canada and drank beer. "Take off, you hoser," they would yell. It was a simple joke. It was supposed to be a filler for the show, but people loved it. They loved it because it felt real. It felt like two guys you might actually know. That was the magic of Rick Moranis from the very beginning. He didn't have to act like a big star. He just had to be himself. By 1983, he was making movies. Strange Brew brought the McKenzie brothers to the big screen. Then came 1984. That was the year everything changed. Ghostbusters was a phenomenon. Rick played Louis Tully, the taxman who gets possessed by a demon. He made that character legendary. He made up so many of those lines on the spot. Remember the party scene where he is telling the guests how much he paid for the cheese? That was all Rick. He brought a warmth to the role that wasn't on the page. You didn't just laugh at Louis Tully. You liked him. You wanted him to be okay. That was his gift. He could play a nerd or a weirdo, but he always gave them a heart. He made you feel like being a little awkward was fine. In 1986, he was Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors. Suddenly Seymour, he sang, and you believed every word of it. He was the guy who felt too small for the world, but found a way to be a hero. Then came 1987. Spaceballs, Dark Helmet. It is one of the most quoted movies in history. "I can't breathe in this thing," he yelled while lifting up that giant mask. "I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate." It was absurd. It was silly, but it worked because Rick Moranis played it with total commitment. He didn't wink at the camera. He just was Dark Helmet. By 1989, he was the dad of the decade. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was a massive hit. Wayne Szalinski was a dreamer. He was an inventor who just wanted to make something great. He was the kind of dad we all wanted to be, or the dad we all had. He was kind. He was gentle. He was real. That era of comedy from 1980 to 1995 was special because it was built on characters like that. It wasn't about mean jokes or explosions. It was about people, and Rick Moranis was the heart of it. He was in that rare company of actors that everyone loved. Small group of people that co-stars and crew members always say are actually good. Robin Williams was in that group. John Candy was in that group. Keanu Reeves is in that group. And Rick Moranis is right there with them. On the set of his movies, he didn't act like a celebrity. He knew the name of every person on the crew. He would ask the lighting guys about their families. He would sit and talk with the people who brought the coffee. He was the same person off camera that he was on camera. He was a good man. That is why the connection you felt was real. You weren't wrong to think he was a friend. Then, something changed. In February 1991, his life was hit by a tragedy. His wife, Ann Belsky, died of breast cancer. She was a costume designer and the love of his life. They had two very young children. Their son, Mitchell, was only 4 years old. Their daughter, Rachel, was only 3. Rick was 38 years old and one of the biggest stars in the world. He had just finished a run of hits that most actors only dream of. But suddenly, he was a single father with 2 little kids who had just lost their mother. He tried to keep working for a few years. He made Little Giants in 1994. He made The Flintstones that same year. He even did a sequel to the Shrinking movie. But he realized that he couldn't do both. He couldn't spend 6 months a year in a trailer on a movie set in another country while his kids were at home. He didn't want someone else raising them. He didn't want to be a father who was only there on the weekends. So, in 1997, he made a choice. He didn't make a big speech. He didn't tell the newspapers. He just stopped. He walked away from Hollywood at the peak of his fame. He went home to his apartment in Manhattan to be a full-time dad. He chose his children over his career. That is the answer to the mystery. He didn't disappear because he was forgotten. He disappeared because he chose to. He spent the next 20 years doing the most important job a man can do. He took his kids to school. He made them dinner. He went to their games. He stayed out of the spotlight because he didn't need it. He had everything he needed at home. For a long time, people wondered where he was. They thought something bad had happened, but he was just being a father. He is 72 years old now. He still lives in New York City. He is okay. He is happy. He did that Mint Mobile commercial in February 2020 with Ryan Reynolds, and the whole world smiled because they saw that he was still the same guy. He still had that same kind face. He still had that same gentle voice. He didn't return to movies because he didn't have to. He only does things now if he thinks they will be fun. He raised his kids, and they are grown up now. He did what he set out to do. If you think your love for those old movies is just nostalgia, you are wrong. Those films still matter. His work has a legacy that most actors would give anything for. If you go online today, you will see it. The clips from his movies have over 200 million views across the internet. Spaceballs trends every single year on May 4th. Kids who were born in 2005 are quoting his lines on their phones right now. They might not even know his name at first, but they know his face and they know his humor. That isn't just a memory. That is endurance. That is proof that what he gave us was real. You were right to care about him. You were right to feel like he was a friend. He was exactly who you thought he was. He was a man who put his heart into his work and his family into his heart. That golden age of comedy wasn't just a fluke. It was a time when we were allowed to love characters for being kind and being human. You are not alone in missing that feeling. Millions of people are right there with you. Every time someone writes a comment under a video saying they miss him, that is your tribe. You all grew up in a time that was special, and you are right to hold on to it. Rick Moranis made 14 films between 1983 and 1997. From Ghostbusters to Spaceballs to Little Shop of Horrors, he built a career that lasted because it was built on decency. He was the guy on set who knew every crew member's name and never acted like a star. What happened to him? His wife died and his kids needed him, so he chose them. That is the simple truth. Today, his clips have over 200 million views because people still need that warmth. You weren't wrong to love him. He was exactly who you thought he was. Millions of people remember him, and the comments prove it. You are not alone. That is your tribe. He wasn't just funny, he was good. That is rare. That lasts. That is why you still care.